Ahoy, fellow improv theatre nerds.
And welcome aboard The Joy of Trek, an anachronistic podcast exploring the linguistic drift and folklore of Star Trek, all of it. I'm Cocky.
I'm Kay.
And exploring a deadly cave is your chief engineer, Greg.
Together, we're on a mission through the gallows of Star Trek to find the red shirt in every foreign planet and the excellence in every episode.
Even the historical documents.
Oh, God. It had to be historical documents, didn't it?
Because every episode...
It must be someone's favorite, and it might as well be us.
So retreat into your chrysalis and join us as we gooify into the joy of Trek.
Wow. You had to go there, right? Historical documents.
Oh, come on.
Oh, absolutely. It is about as close. I mean, I didn't even realize that, but yes, it is, in fact, could be seen as a take on...
Well, hey,
Galaxy Quest.
In that context, how would you describe for everyone All the World's a Stage from Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, Episode 13?
Well, I'm afraid Chief's already done a good job in mowing the grass in front of my feet with that excellent intro.
Go ahead.
All right. Oh, the crew of the Prodigy. Sorry, the crew of the Protostar, not the Prodigy.
Prodigious crew of the Protostar.
Yes. Oh,
fact, yeah.
Are we alliterating now?
I mean, Gwyn is the progeny, and she's a prodigy of the Protostar, which has a Protostar drive.
So, the crew of the Protostar finds of a group of Federation enthusiasts who are even worse off than they.
Ooh.
And rather than how shall you put it?
It's hard to make fun of the ones that are really silly and super sincere.
I know, right? Yeah.
Right? Because they like, this episode really pokes fun at itself, and then it has an incredible heart.
Yes, and it's it makes it hard to put a twist on it.
I know, it's like,
and then it just devolves into a short explanation of the plot, because the plot itself is fairly thin.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's fine. Yeah, no,
Space
absolutely.
Adventures ought to be.
It's all about it's all about the people again in this episode, not really about what actually happens. So yeah, plot wise, it's not a lot can be said about the episode.
All right, let's hear the chief synopsis.
The crew answers the distress call to find a colony trapped in Starfleet's past.
Thank you very much. So, All the World's a Stage first aired on November 10th, 2022, written by Aaron J. Waltke and directed by Andrew L. Smith, and it has really, really fantastic casting. So we get a brief bit with Jason Alexander, most famous as George Costanza from Seinfeld.
Oh, okay, yes.
He's the Tellarite doctor that we see at the very, very beginning.
Yes.
Let me see. Oh, David Diggs as Commander Torres. Also in the very beginning, I knew him from Hamilton, the musical where he was the Marquis de Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson, and he was also the lead in Snowpiercer.
Oh, I've heard of the movie. I've never seen it.
One that you should recognize, or that you would definitely at least know, Essentia, who's a character who also briefly appears in the beginning, played by Jamila Jamil, who plays Tahani Al-Jamil on the sitcom The Good Place.
Oh, right, yes.
And lastly, that I really want to mention is Fred Tatasciore, who plays Dr. Boons and Sprock and a bunch of others.
Yes.
And Shax.
Oh, right. Does an amazing job at trying to recreate the voices of the original.
He's a storied voice actor.
Yeah.
And I think at this point we can just take about 15 minutes to go and walk the cat or do something, because the chief's about to tell us all about Fred Tatasciore and how he met him personally.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, well, now you're making it weird. Yes, I did get to meet Fred Tatasciore at a convention recently, and he was delightful, and I got to tell him about how much I love Shax and how much I love just everything he's done, because he has been in everything. But yes, I did get to also tell him about the podcast and be like, yeah, you're kind of in every episode, because the line, "I say we eject the warp core," is too perfect. And then he signed it to me to Greg, baby bear, I say we eject the warp core. And it was just like, oh, I love you, Fred Tatasciore. Slight chance he's listening, because he did ask for the name of the podcast and wrote it down and put it in his backpack. So if you're listening, hi, Fred. It's great to meet you.
Thank you.
So, yes, we opened to
Hold on, we got segments. We got segments.
Sorry, I completely forgot about that. Yes.
What did people think about this episode?
I didn't get a lot. Mostly it was...
I know it's difficult with the recent ones.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. So, yes, most of it that I found was on Reddit, where someone calling himself Soy Trek writes, "The series is definitely a Star Trek show at its very core, and not a kid show. The presentation is just a lot more kid-friendly and less gritty than any of the other current treks, and the writers are definitely less technobabble or snark-centric," which sounds more like a generic comment on Prodigy rather than on this specific episode.
Also, the lack of snark, that's really weird.
Yes.
The snark is a huge part of it.
Whereas Romeo VF says, "Was this episode pandering to nostalgia? Yes. Do I care? Hell no. I love this episode."
Hell yes.
Yes.
Because it's like the previous episode of Prodigy that we did, which was Chief. What was it called again? Yeah, thank you. Which featured a who's who of previous Star Trek characters all on the bridge.
Kobayashi.
Yes. It was sort of an opportunity to link the cool teen who's watching this new Nickelodeon show with like their favorite grandma.
Right, yes. And,
right?
they can be like, "Oh, I remember that bit." And this sounds just like,
It's a great thing to be able to share. And this episode was recommended to us by Hoofburd. Hey, Hoofburd.
Hello. From you again?
Who says,
"If given only slightly less care, an homage episode like this could have come across as corny or cheap. Instead, it deftly introduces its younger audience to the concept of the original series, while also being a very original series episode itself. We've seen the planet of the 20th century gangsters already. Now we can cycle back around and go to the planet where everything's original Star Trek. While being deeply silly, this episode provides the Protostar's crew with good character advancement, while simultaneously nodding at a bit of original series continuity, a Voyager episode, and even Lower Decks. I also think there is an interesting parallel how the crew first learns about the original series through a sort of jumbled cultural filter, much as people tend to do in real life nowadays. All in all, it's a love letter that never feels like nostalgia bait, and I really like that about it."
Yes.
well said.
I agree completely.
Because there's a class of story where you've got the plot and the fabula, you've got the sort of hook, what it's supposed to be about, how it's described on the back of the DVD case, and you've got what it's actually about, like in human terms, in emotional terms. And there's a particular class where they interact metaphorically with one another, and like the Protostar crew at this point, they're still like they're pretending to be Starfleet and aspiring to something that they actually don't completely understand. Which is like
exactly what's happening
physically
on the planet,
represented,
yes.
And by learning about how these people have dealt with it, because they've been doing it for generations, they figure out a way to deal with their own. Imposter syndrome is a huge part of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I think is really, really brilliant. But okay, maybe now's the time to dive into the episode. So hold on to your butts. Oh, that'd be a good thing.
Hold on to your butts as a captain's thing.
Yeah, as a captain's thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I like that one. So, did you do the dance that I taught you during the opening?
No, I did not.
Okay, where you pump your arms sort of like a choo-choo train, or like you're skiing.
I know the dance, yes.
Okay, I also didn't do it either because the doctor told me I shouldn't get my heart rate up.
Oh, yes.
Had a little bit of surgery. Everything's fine. It's going to improve my breathing a whole lot. But yes, I had to stay cool during the most exciting theme music in all of Star Trek, and we open on, okay, what did you think of this opening? Because this must have been very unfamiliar to you.
Yes, so it was mostly me trying to figure out what was going on. Like, okay, first thing, okay, we've got Janeway, but okay, this is actual Janeway. So this is, my primary thoughts were towards, like, is this a flashback or is this concurrent?
Right.
That was my primary thought here, like trying to figure out, like, oh, is there any hints here as to whether or not we are dealing with a flashback about something that happened in the past or something that is happening right now as we speak, somewhere else in the galaxy.
Because we're on the gigantic starship Prometheus, which is a wild and wonderful design.
How do we tell that? Because
so the first GIF that you've got is a zoom-in shot on a ship, and it sort of has the same pointy profile as Prodigy.
Could have been Voyager or Prodigy, yes.
Yeah.
Either of them.
We get other views of it in other episodes. It's really bizarrely based on... There was an episode in Star Trek Voyager where supposedly Starfleet had sent an advanced uncrewed prototype spaceship to the Delta Quadrant for them to
hop into and come back in.
Yeah, which turned out to be fake. It was an alien spacecraft masquerading as a Starfleet spacecraft. But
Sneaky.
apparently, like, those design elements, including even the layout of the bridge, were brought back by the Voyager crew and implemented in an actual Starfleet ship.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
They were trying to imposter us, and we got some really good ideas from them. Thank you for that.
Yeah. It's sort of the same thing that was the justification for how different spaceships looked in the J.J. Abrams Starfleet films.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you had the USS Kelvin encountering the Romulan mining ship Narada with its crazy technology from the 24th century. And like just from those scans, like gave them ideas for engineering concepts that really advanced their science.
Like for instance, watching a battle between starships through a telescope and thereby figuring out how a warp drive works.
Okay, we're not relitigating that. You remember my stance on that?
Yes.
Like, okay, no, we are doing it. Like, imagine if you look through a telescope, you see a space battle, and you go, there's an awful lot of molybdenum in that debris. I wonder if molybdenum is something we should investigate. Oh, shit, it does all these other cool things. Cool. We would have never thought to use molybdenum.
For that, yes.
Right?
Something like that, yes. So the second thoughts on this scene is like, what's going on? Because we have a person whose daughter has been wrested from him, who kind of looks like the big evil.
It is him.
It is actually him,
yeah,
right?
It's the diviner,
right? There we go. Okay,
who's sort of mumbling as he's like reflecting himself in a little cup of coffee while he's sitting he's being debriefed in the Prometheus sickbay, and he tries to like remember. They show him a picture of Chakotay.
Right.
Tell us, have you seen this man?
So yes, he's being questioned by Janeway and what looks like an Andorian, I think.
Yes, that's Tyrese.
And what you said is a Tellarite?
Yes.
So is Jenkin just a short Tellarite or a young Tellarite, or what? How does this work? Because there's quite a bit of difference in size between. I mean, Jenkin never coded me as being particularly young.
I mean, it's a bit of both. There are episodes where we learn a bit more about Jankim. I think he still counts as a juvenile. We don't know how Tellarites age.
Right.
And what the species dimorphism is. Like in a lot of episodes where the Tellarites originally appeared, they all seemed very, very similar. Similar height, same wigs, same tusks.
Yeah.
But, maybe they're like the Klingons. You've got the Imperial Klingons and the urban Klingons and the suburban Klingons. But he struggles to provide them information.
Yes.
Because...
But my mind is in pieces. I can't remember.
Amnesia!
Yes. Oh.
That most wonderful
plot device.
Plot device.
But seeing the comm badge that Janeway's wearing does shock him into troubled mind stats. It's like 10 milligrams of Haldol stat.
Oh, yeah.
Enough questions. He needs rest.
Says the doctor, while it just stabs him casually in the neck with knockout juice.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, unconsciousness isn't rest, but,
That's true.
It's better than flailing about, so. But yes, there was an escape pod which has been found and which apparently is going to be a plot device which is going to be resolved in a future episode.
Because that's how Prodigy worked. It was very episodic, but it also had nice long seasons. So it was able to...
20 episodes or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was able to juggle multiple plot lines, and this one gets paused a little bit, it's cooled down, and this new one gets introduced, and it's just brilliant. And season 2, oh my god, I recently binged it. Fantastic, amazing.
And the
Star
Slave
Trek.
1 shows up and shoots the Romulan. No way, it's a different Star Trek.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where you went with that one.
Oh, I was referring to that Lower Decks one where there's the
oh yes, very good
skull-shaped ship or whatever it is that shows up and randomly shoots Romulans. And other people, apparently. I haven't seen that many episodes yet, so I don't know. I'm just trying to make connections.
You've also got some Swiss cheese brain when it comes to the newer Star Trek.
It's like I've been dining on 80s British beef.
You've been dining on 80s British beef.
Yes, remember the whole beef scare? What was it called again?
What?
Oh, come on.
Who's got Swiss cheese brain now?
Yeah, well, exactly. That was the whole point. Like, you got the British beef with the whole...
oh, my God. Hoof and mouth disease.
That's,
the other one. The
St.
Creutzfeldt
Jakob.
Not
Yes,
St. Jacob's brain. Okay, Jacob's brain disease. Yes. No, okay. See, I was doing a fun reference to Quantum Leap.
Right, yes.
Where they say, time travel gives you very weird selective amnesia, so we can just write your backstory as the show progresses.
Right,
and we don't have to worry about keeping it too consistent, because we can always blame it on that. And you were talking about, here's a fun bacteria that actually puts holes in your brain tissue.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, these are very upsetting. Look, we can move on from this because this whole scene doesn't affect the plot, because it's completely separate from our heroes.
On the Protostar, the crew seemingly have adopted Starfleet, because they are now dressing up in the uniforms.
Yeah, what do you think of those uniforms?
They're very smexy. I noticed that they're all... I mean, are they cadets' uniforms? I guess so, because they're kind of greyish. They're not blue science uniforms. Yep. But then again, I don't think we've seen any uniforms from this era other than through holograms, and those aren't particularly color-coded very well. So
yeah, so they count as a cadet crew. That's how Janeway is still addressing them. And Janeway knows that they're not actually Starfleet.
At this point, she does, yes.
Right, because this episode takes place after Kobayashi. But she also knows, hey, you're aspiring to the ideals. That makes you cadets in my book.
Right, yes.
My programming doesn't really allow for anything else. So
you're just going to go with this?
Yeah. You could be a bunch of Lego bricks, and I'd address you as cadets. It's okay.
Yep. Pog is throwing a little bit of a paddy at the super weapon that they apparently discovered in the belly of the Protostar.
Yeah, and he's having real trouble with it because...
Pog's not used to a problem he can't fix. We tried phasers, transporters. He can't get rid of it. It just adapts.
Stupid futuristic weaponry.
Thanks to Zero, even opening a hail to Starfleet could infect their systems.
Okay, so...
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like, apparently... I obviously haven't watched the previous episode, in which presumably most of this was explained. Why they can't, why this weapon on board a Starfleet ship can't be brought back to Starfleet.
Because it's a weapon against Starfleet.
Oh.
Yeah, this is much like the Prometheus was like a... Oh, I'm trying to think of a better metaphor than a plague blanket or a Trojan horse.
Right. I mean the Alien franchise Prometheus.
Yes, the original, that one, yeah. That's what the Protostar was designed to do. It was a Starfleet destroying weapon.
Right. Okay.
Embedded in this ship that Starfleet would want back.
Right. Okay. So
and that's why the Diviner,
wants it. Yes.
Yep.
Because of this thing, and apparently, yes, if we open a hail to free, it might infect it through the subspace channels and then destroy Starfleet from within or something.
Yep.
All right.
Because it's a crazy advanced, stupid futuristic weaponry, as Jankum Pog says. But that also doesn't matter right now, because they've received a distress signal.
Yes.
Any updates on why the distress signal was sent, Janeway?
I'm in the dark. There's a subspace distortion field interfering with our systems.
Detected life signs. Pog is against it, who cares about these losers? But I guess that...
Yeah, Pog's whole attitude is kind of to reject all this. He even just very rudely talks over Gwyn when she correctly points out...
Then we should beam down and see if we can
Who wants help from a bunch of losers who can't even help themselves?
Yep.
Yep.
And meanwhile, Roktak is taking care of Murph.
Who seems to be going through a little bit of phase.
Yeah.
Maybe those plasma grenades that they swallowed actually got to them. So...
Yeah, our little sort of slimy, glowy creature is trilling very pitifully, and Rock's trying to take care of him. Jankum Pog briefly tries to sort of cough his way out of the out of his responsibility.
Yeah,
cough,
it's
cough, cough. Maybe Pog will sit this one out too.
Nope, none of that.
And they beam down. Takes a little bit.
Yeah, just I wonder what. Oh, I guess that's the subspace interference from the shuttle or something.
Very good.
Yes,
because they can barely get a reading. Says Zero. But they do find two biosignatures.
Yes, so they go and
ahead.
wonder. Oh, makes sense that if there's a distress call, that there was a biosignature. That there's biosignature.
Mm-hmm.
One of them zaps him with, which I guess is a phaser.
Yes, they encounter two figures dressed in green with. They've got green markings on their faces as well. They're humanoid.
Right. So those markings. I was trying to figure out what this was. Is that just this species' forehead or?
Who's to know?
Yeah.
Right. Every individual seems to have that. They seem to have Sort of Caucasian-looking skin, but then it goes greener toward the top of their head, and their hair is green. We don't know if it's paint or dye.
They all kind of look Spockish.
Spockish? Oh, well, they've got the mascara and the eye.
They're all kind of like drawn
eyeshadow,
like Spock is drawn in this art style. We've seen him not quite such narrow face as they have, but
they got the sharp cheekbones as well.
Right? Yeah. It's just an art style choice, but they all find them kind of looking fairly uniform. I mean, it's just like, how do you tell them apart? We just do.
Well, yeah, yeah, but you can also listen to them.
Oh yes.
Then you find out.
I am James T. This is Sul U.
Starflight.
Yeah, James T. and Sul U.
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I can find a clip from Sul U who says,
My.
Yes. Yeah. Is that something that he actually does in the... Oh, yes. Oh, it's Oh My that George Takei is
Oh My.
famous for these days, yes.
I don't know if he actually says that in Star Trek. Chief, if it's not a huge bother, can you dive into the archives and see if Sulu actually says Oh My?
Yes.
So near as I can tell, I can't really see that Sulu ever said "Oh my" in Star Trek. The phrase "Oh my" came from an appearance on the Howard Stern show that George Takei did, in which Howard Stern, on live air, asked him, "Well, you have a deep voice. Does that mean you have a big cock?" And George asked if they were live, and Howard Stern said yes, and his only reply was, "Oh my," and they just clipped that and then would just use it over and over and over, and that's kind of how it became his unofficial catchphrase, and like the meme status of George Takei saying "Oh my" began with the Howard Stern show.
Can't wait for that to make it through the temporal vortex.
I love actually how Zero is also wearing a con badge. It's kind of like, I suppose it just kind of tacked or welded it to himself and themselves, yes, and not to themselves, but to their exosuit, whatever it is.
Yes. They've got a spherical encounter suit that hovers because their natural energy form is.
It's more to protect everybody else. It's not to protect me from you. It's to protect the other way around. It's not to protect me from you. It's to protect you from me. Yes, that's the way it works.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're
no, I got it right. Yes.
Because their natural form is apparently very distressing to humanoids, to the point of inducing madness. Hence the name Medusan.
Oh. Yeah. But Medusa turns people to stone.
Yeah, well, it's still bad.
Okay, sure.
That's bad for you.
What would you be if you, like, in terms of turning people to stone, you just got them stoned just by looking at you? What kind of creature would you be then?
Frank Zappa. Right?
Fair.
I mean, you just solved. Any more questions you want to ask while I'm on a roll? So this requires some quick sort of sidebariing. Because, okay, are we encountering Starfleet? We're not supposed to encounter Starfleet because we have the dangerous weapon. So
right.
Dal RL quickly consults with Janeway and says,
I thought we were supposed to keep our ship away from Starfleet. So why am I looking at them?
That's impossible. While Captains James T. Kirk and Hikaru Sulu are Starfleet legends, no Federation ship's been near this sector in over 100 years, and there's no record of first contact.
They're not Starfleet.
But they insist like you have answered the call of Ensign.
And we must inform the Starflight Command. They hold up their hand, closing the middle and ring finger together, and say,
"Live logs and proper."
I mean, sure. But yes, they're all very proud to show off how Federation they are to what they presume to be the actual Federation.
Yep. Which they call the Federation. Like it's all... what's it called?
That's
Syncopated? I think that's the term.
Well, as the chief called it, there's been a bit of linguistic drift over the last 100 years.
Yeah,
and a lot of things that we don't know how long the ensign was with them, but the implication is that it's been significant amount of time.
Yeah. Months, possibly years.
Right, yes.
Well, possibly days or weeks. It's unclear.
But enough to imprint a lot of Federation on them. As we can see as they are walking through their village where people are judo chopping and double hand fisting, fighting each other, doing
and hand clapping one another's ears as combat techniques.
Yes, and watching videos of how the Enterprise is being flown. I guess it's just instruction videos or something that were on on the shuttle?
I mean, it looks like the historical documents from Galaxy Quest, right?
Exactly,
It looks like
yes.
actual logs.
Or it could just well be like, the like instructional videos that you get when you have to start working at a fast food franchise, but then for the Enterprise. So when you get sat down and then now you're shown how to make a burger, or in this case you're shown how to, like, when we are leaving Stardock, engage the thrusters after releasing the hold-down clamps.
No more than 0.25 impulse.
Make sure that all umbilical cords have been sufficiently retracted within... and don't try to power slide it out of the space dock.
We're looking at you, Savick. Ensign Savick, please. The village even looks like sort of like a Starfleet ship. Like they've built these pylons with supposedly wood nacelles in the middle of the jungle.
But it's more like a cover. It's more like the thing it likens me most to is like a blimp hangar.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looks like from in which they've built a village, but the center part is open.
Yep, and it's just baffling to the crew of the Protostar.
Yeah,
because they're encountering something. This looks way more like the Federation than these people know more about the Federation than they do.
Oh yeah.
Can you believe these dum-dums? Playing dress-up, pretending to be Federation.
Dalek. Dal, was it? Yes.
Yeah, he goes...
Yeah, who are they fooling?
Figure that. What kind of... Yeah, he's showing a bit more self-awareness than Jankin is.
That's his thing, right? He's a young man. He has a tremendous amount of energy and confidence in these ideas that occur to him. Like, he wants to live fast, and then he encounters the complexities of reality, and he has to process those.
We learned that the two were out looking for a missing cadet, but unfortunately Dr. Bones, which is good it says that in the subtitles, because I heard something else entirely.
What did you hear?
I'm not going to repeat that.
Okay.
It sounds very similar. Fun. It's only one letter different.
Boobs?
Something like that. Closer.
Oh.
Never mind.
Okay, well, I'll stick with Dr. Boobs then.
Oh, you did say boobs.
I did.
Sorry. I must have missed. Yes, that's what I initially thought.
Well, why don't you say Dr. Boobs? Oh, this is great. This is great. We get to rename all of them? Yes, let's do this right now.
Okay.
All of it, because you've got James T, Sulu, you've got Sprock, as we later learn, and Dr. Boons on a Nickelodeon show. What would they have been named if this had been an Adult Swim cartoon instead?
I was going to sing Jam ST, but that's going to be...
Okay, that's a sick goodness gracious me reference.
Very good, thank
you. Yeah.
Good, well spotted.
On the blandest thing on the menu.
Yes, that's the one.
They're amazing.
Which is a fantastic sketch, by the way. If you haven't seen it, try looking for it. It's the it's a going out for an English sketch. By goodness gracious me, it's fantastic.
Who are a British Indian comedy troupe. They're really, really fantastic, and sending up the white English tradition of going out for an Indian and the various races.
Yes, so they're going out for an English, and
and they want the blandest thing on the menu.
Yes.
Oh no, I want something with just a little bit of flavor.
Uh-huh. Oh, you can have the
shrimp scampi is not completely
flavorless. Yes. Anyway.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So what would they have been called? I mean, Sprock would have just been Cock, right?
Yeah. Sulu, screw you.
Screw you. Okay, screw you. Dr. Boobs.
Dr. Boobs. Yes, and
Ensign Hora. No, actually,
no, let's not go
really
there.
loving that one. Ooh, Ensign Hura was played by an actress whose name I don't currently have on my screen. Chief?
Yes, so Ensign Hura was played by Samantha A. Smith, a very talented character actress who's been in a bunch of stuff. She had a very long recurring role in Supernatural and was just a lot of bit roles in a bunch of stuff that you've probably seen before. Very talented character actress.
Thank you, whom we've seen before, because she also played the president of the planet in Strange New Worlds, the opening of the episode.
Right.
It's kind of cool that so many actors have done multiple roles in Star Trek.
I think because it makes sense. It's they're already on the payroll, and it's easy to.
But they're different shows. They have entirely different production crews, often in different locations. It's not like you and I enjoy watching aughts to early 2010s various science fiction that has been filmed in Vancouver because it's just really excellent. And just you just randomly pop on an episode and there's a 10% chance of seeing a Cylon in a given episode.
That's the crazy time travel. Oh no, wait, he's also a crazy time travel in another in the other show. It's like
when you get the same actor appearing in both Travelers, which is excellent, and Continuum, which is also excellent.
And it starts to run together a little bit at times.
Yeah.
And then, yes, random Cylons pop up.
Jason Alexander, who played Dr. Gnome, also played one of the aliens in the Think Tank episode in Voyager. He's been there before. He was the Tellarite Doctor.
Right, yes. I was just like thinking it sounded a lot like James Bond, like Dr. No.
Oh, like so?
No. Also calling a character that looks like Dr. Gnomes is a little bit condescending, I would say.
Oh, it's just his name. Actually, I think canonically he's the ship's counselor.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A Tellarite for a ship's counselor. How's that?
Brutally honest?
Yeah. He's not going to let you get away with anything. No, I'm totally over my husband's death. No, you're not. You're a total wreck. Be a total wreck. Come back in 3 days when you're a total wreck again.
So, yes, they don't quite catch cotton on what's going on. There's like they answered the call, so you must hear the logs. And like, we will play the logs, which turns out to be, actually, no, go to the bridge. Everybody runs off. Which turns out to be an amphitheater, and the logs being played is literally a stage performance.
Yes. Yeah, it's fantastic on their own homemade bridge set.
Yeah.
And everyone in the audience is so excited, like, we're doing the logs. That must be like a rare treat.
I guess, yeah. I mean, everybody, it's like the one, everybody knows this. Like, it's familiar with people.
Yeah.
They know what's coming, but it's like they're still cheering for what's going on, even though they know the story.
Because you only get to see that, like, this is the good story that we all really like, and they only do it every harvest season or whatever they do in the jungle.
I don't know. It seems like it looks very well rehearsed, like they're quite capable of the actors who play it know it very well. It doesn't seem like a thing that they'd like only do occasionally. I mean,
they might not do it for audiences very often.
Oh, good point.
Something like that.
A couple of times a year.
Because also importantly, Dal asked, like, are we being f***ed with? And Zero uses their telepathic ability. Now, I don't sense any deception.
Yes.
And they conclude,
though a bit unorthodox, they truly believe themselves to be Starfleet.
So the red velvet curtains with a very symmetrical Starfleet Delta open onto the bridge. And we get introduced to... I'll let it play.
A great ship flew through the cosmos, bearing heroes of legend.
This popcorn.
Among them, James T., the warrior for whom I was named. And Sprock, well known for his words so wise.
Most illogical.
But they...
Also, Fred Tatasciore.
Yes. I guess it's like cheap, get one person to do 4 characters. It's like...
Oh, he's a storied voice actor. We're not going to get the chief to sort of recount all of his great achievements again. But you see how they're sort of shaking side to side.
Yeah,
the shaking,
one of the guys like playing the drums. Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about the uniforms here, although I suspect that the chief might have already beat us to it. So at first, it kind of looks like a little bit patchy and sewn together until you realize that they're all done in exactly the same way.
They all have the same pattern. I have the same feeling as well. Like, that's it's taken whatever. No, this is the pattern.
This is clearly intentional.
So it doesn't look like the pattern of Starfleet uniforms that we know from that era, because in our culture most clothing patterns are symmetrical in some form. And these are clearly asymmetrical, so they must have been blended into their own clothing styles.
Right. I found a comment somewhere that apparently this is an homage to the green tunic that Kirk occasionally wears.
Oh, nice!
In some of the episodes of the original series.
Okay, I'm just happy to hear someone else talk about costumes for once, so it's not just me constantly being the one talking about costumes, because sometimes I feel like I'm a parody of myself, and it's nice to know that other people can appreciate the costume work, because even in an animated show, it still is costume work. It still is, it's great. It's great. Thank you.
Because this is a derivative from an episode of the original series.
Yeah, I assumed, yes, that this ensign that they're talking about has in fact been abandoned or lost with the shuttle Galileo.
So the writer and showrunner Waltke described that, like, There's this episode of Star Trek the original series called Obsession, which features Ensign Garrovick, who's set up with this whole arc that then kind of isn't resolved. And also like the shuttle Galileo just sort of vanishes at some point, and then they're flying the Galileo 2, and nothing's done with that. That's something that was sometimes explored in novelizations and other.
So it's just a little throwaway from the original series, which was developed into this. Oh, very good.
Because yes, he is.
I am Ensign of Starflight Enterprise, bearer of Crimson, bravest among us.
Right. Yes,
okay, now we know.
That's the only one who has wearing a red tunic. We see it in the background later in a shot where they have the original tunic and the phaser that he had with him, I suppose.
Which must be what James T. and had with him.
So they get to borrow it for when they go out on a mission, and then they put it back in the display case when they're done with it?
That seems right.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It's because they're on a mission to rescue Ensign Hura, whom they didn't wind up finding.
Fair point, yes.
And the beaming down is presented by, very quickly, somebody rolls up a table into the middle of the bridge and puts a shiny, shimmery cloth on it that he sort of belly flails on top of to symbolize being beamed down to descended from the stars. It's amazing.
Oh, to me, that coded much more as like he actually... Like I was thinking more like a skydiving, because it's very much a skydiving pose that he's in. It was more like orbital skydiving. That was the vibe I got from it, at least. It didn't.
Whoa, maybe that is the case.
Well, he came with the shuttle.
Yeah, but he ditched the shuttle.
Oh, right, and then the shuttle probably crashed down. Well, it's well possible. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's brilliant. Yeah, he must have jumped out of the shuttle mid-flight with a suborbital skydiving suit. Or parachute.
It doesn't even need that. Just like if you figure that he wasn't going to be able to land the shuttle safely, he could have been atmospheric by the time he jumped out.
Oh, like so, yeah.
Yeah, and then the shuttle. I mean, it kind of gels with what they say next. It's like, but a great evil followed me and now is lurking in the woods.
Yes, where he warns.
For the gala.
Do not enter the woods where it lurks, or your land will be cursed by... the gallows!
And then you see two glowing purple lights poking.
Stop. Yeah. And they bring in fake plaster bushes and trees and people hiding behind them, and the fact that we get to see so much of the the stage setting crew.
Oh yeah,
I really love it.
Really fun. So yes, at this point, unless combined a little with what comes next, I'm sitting okay, what can it be? So we've got two lights breathing fire and bellowing smoke. It's this is going to be some sort of motorway which is running around the back of their
oh whoa, you thought it was headlights,
something like that. Yeah, that was my initial thought. I was going to see it's going to be like a train track or a motorway which they've been warned, and there's an entire civilization down the road, and go oh yeah, we know about those guys, we have some first contact protocol of our own that we're not supposed to that's the last uncontacted tribe on our planet. And
oh wow. Also the plot of M. Night Shyamalan's The Village.
Right, yes, exactly. Well, yeah, pretty much that, yes.
And the last thing that Ensign told the Enterprisians was...
Starflight will come and rid us of the evil. These are my dying words.
And then they just waited for generations, which, however long that is.
2 or 3, probably. Yeah. I don't know how fast they reproduce, but...
But now you have arrived. And it's at this point that Dal gets up and
walks out.
Tries to do the Irish exit.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. If these people sent a distress signal, they obviously need our help.
Do they? Clearly some Starfleet guy landed here 100 years ago and they weren't ready for first contact. These people are living a lie and don't even know it.
Just like us.
Well, that's not correct, because he knows.
Yes.
That statement's kind of self-contradictory there.
And it's at this point that Ensign Hura makes her way back to the village.
The gallows.
Cadet Hura!
I saw it.
It was pretty much as it's been described in the play, I noticed.
It had 2 glowing eyes, roaring smoke, breathing fire and death.
And she's ill. She's in the village's sick bay. Where they have electrical power?
I guess so, yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Electrical lights and electrical screens, but...
and they can play the records.
Yeah. Well, they don't have a lot of other, like, no advanced duotronics.
No.
Like from the Enterprise.
At first, it seems like that there's there's a little bit of illness on her, but Dal quickly catches it as well. For a moment there, I thought it was like it was going to be resolved much quicker than it did. Because when Zero is examining him, I kind of figured Zero got like, yeah, that's grease. That's on her.
Oh.
Which rubbed off on you. And judging by the composition of it, it's like based on like for a shuttle or whatever, something like that. Like I was still on the it's a mechanical creature type thing. It just,
right,
it's
yeah.
like a bus or a train or something like that. You know, Watership Down style lights on the highway.
Oh yes, the Hoofburd.
Yes,
which I believe is the Lapine. Is that the correct term?
Yes.
Within Watership Down, the language of the rabbits.
Yeah, it's called Lapine.
Where they have And do you want to get it out of your system? No.
It's fine.
I'll do it for you.
No.
Lagomorph. That's the proper term.
Or Leporid.
Or Leporid.
Yes.
There you go. See, I just needed to say it wrong and then you correct me on it.
Lagomorph is correct, but then you're talking about furries.
Oh, yes. Having the appearance or the shape of a rabbit.
Right.
So Dal is so like shook by actually having this, because he initially said that curses aren't real.
Yes, he was quite dismissive of it.
And then when he sees these discolorations on his skin...
Get it off of me!
I'm afraid it's quite real. But with
Janken, on the other hand, is very eager to believe in a curse.
Yeah.
Because it's evil!
Yeah, I'm going to have to add that to my little soundboard, though, so I'm going to favorite that.
We see a shot of an ominous cave.
Yeah.
And they contact Rock again to figure out, like, hey, can you come down with some EV suits and stuff? Because we need some protection.
She leaves Murph in the care of Holo Janeway.
Yep.
And she brings the suits down. And you pointed out, well, it's lucky that they have one in Rock's size.
Yes, and also like in perfectly shaped for Janken and perfectly shaped for whatever her name is again, I forgot.
Gwyn.
Gwyn, yes, thank you.
They, like, considering the number of species and diversity of body types in Starfleet, they must just have, like, auto-fitting.
Sure, yeah, mix and match type style or something like that.
Yeah, or you, like, auto-fabrication. I mean, they can...
Yeah.
They can print shuttles on the Protostar.
Yeah, they can print attack robots, so why not?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And armed with this equipment, Gwyn, Rock, and Jankum head out. Because they believe...
There must be a scientific explanation, right?
But Jankum is not so sure.
Stay close, kid. There's curses.
Yeah. And they walk into a cave. It's a gorgeous crystal-lit cave.
Yeah. So I think what we're supposed to infer, because we get the information in drips and drabs, that this planet is rich in naturally occurring dilithium.
Yes.
These are natural dilithium crystals that the shuttle unfortunately happened to run into.
Straight into, yes.
And it's cracked reactive
plasma.
casing, which interacted with the naturally occurring dilithium.
Yes, thereby causing trouble.
Yeah.
Okay,
a
now
problematic reaction.
Here comes a little plasma vent.
Okay, well...
Because it's leaking plasma.
Yes.
What it's leaking is a liquid. Liquid is not plasma. Also, there's a whole pool of that orange stuff, which has been collected, presumably been dripping from the shuttle.
Or here's me again, because I'm always going to come in with some way to, like, there we go, raise the shields. Yeah, plasma, it's a fluid.
Plasma is a separate state.
Yes. It's one of the fluid states of matter.
It's one of the states of matter. You've got solid, gaseous,
which is the
liquid, and plasma.
Yes, but fluid means, like, movable.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Only solid is non-fluid.
Sure.
And then gaseous, liquid, and plasma are all fluid. Okay, so clearly it's the wrong state based on what's being described. So the liquid that we see must be some kind of reactor, like byproduct or export of the reaction.
Okay, which reaction?
Well, whatever reaction was triggered and continues to this day by the plasma leak.
But it's still leaking out of the shuttle. Like we see a little drop coming, like literally leaking out.
Okay, never mind. Once that retracted.
Once that hits the lake,
pool,
then there's like boom and splash. But yes,
I mean, it's just bad news. It's just bad news.
Oh,
it's just real. It's also real bad luck that this shuttle with the dilithium antimatter reactor on board
just
happens
went straight into a dilithium cave.
Yeah, it's quite a valuable planet.
I would think so. Yes,
considering the value of dilithium. Yeah. But yes, that's what they found, and they realized that it's
Not gallows.
It's the Galileo. Galileo. Magnifico. I'm just a poor boy. Nobody loves me.
He's just a poor boy from a poor family. Here we go again.
Spare him his life from this monstrosity.
And the monstrosity being the Galileo in this case. Thank you. And we come full circle.
And Jankum is now suddenly really interested because he wonders...
Now we can fix something.
What's a 23rd century Class F shuttlecraft doing down here?
And that's when they sort of investigate. It's got a broken warp engine. That's all the things that are going on.
Gutted, which we later learn was done by Ensign
Garovic. Yeah. He died on this planet because he went into the ruined shuttlecraft, trying to effect repairs, which he wasn't able to do.
No, and just scavenging or salvaging as much of it as he can, which is presumably the technology that they're using to display the historical databases on. Or the this is your first day on the Enterprise. This is the instructional video of how to flush the photon emitters in a case of a
nice
clock Jeffries tube. I don't know.
Clock Jeffries tube sounds like something you used to see a doctor about. Not Dr. Noam. Very much not Dr. Noam.
Dr. Boobs, then maybe.
Dr. Boobs. Yeah. Now we have two teams. You have Team Science, who are in the cave with the Galileo.
Yeah.
And you have Team Medicine, because Jankum is able to transfer all this information to Zero.
Once Jankum manages to get aboard the shuttle, attach it with his bat hand, and...
because...
Jankum's been studying his share of 23rd century Starfleet ships, and that tin can is equipped with a duotronic comm relay.
Which allows them to communicate with the base team and with the Protostar.
Yep. And then he goes...
Am I holding the right button?
Mr. Pog? Is that you?
Yeah. And Zero goes...
Dilithium reaction. Toxic runoff from shuttle plasma. That should be enough to synthesize an antidote.
Right.
Woohoo.
Yes. Hey, day saved, antidote synthesized, victims injected, everybody's good and healthy. And now we have to solve this problem because we have a growing problem, I guess. They're afraid of what's going to happen if the shuttle
Well, it's teetering on the edge of a dilithium cliff, and if it falls into the plasma lake...
If anyone steps foot on the shuttle and it falls, this entire place blows.
The Team Science has been trapped in the cave thanks to a cave-in.
Yeah.
So they can't get out. So now we don't have enough people to fly the Protostar.
But thankfully, Dal has just been given the cure, which is, I love how quickly it's ready.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, now it should be possible. And he wakes up with...
I don't know what I'm doing!
I've had days like that.
I'm alive!
Yeah.
What's going on?
So learning about this situation, realizing, okay, this needs the Protostar. The Protostar needs to solve this, but in order to get close enough...
I'm in the dark. There's a subspace distortion field interfering with our systems.
So what do? And Dal, like a good sort of mission commander, looks at all the resources that we have and puts together, how do we make this work?
Yeah.
And he realizes that what they have is an extremely skilled Starfleet crew.
Well, they've seen the instructional videos. They don't have any hands-on experience.
They've put a little time in. That's
True.
That's how you get skills, and then you got to put them into practice, of course. But in theory, practice and theory are basically the same.
Right. So they get beamed aboard. They're marveling at the sight of actually being on a starship, and then they look at the consoles and go "Oh, what's this do?"
Huh?
But Janeway to the rescue.
Yes, because Dal asks,
"Got anything more old school?"
And they summon a holographic bridge over top of the existing bridge, which they're so excited about.
Yes,
incredible!
This I know.
Amazing!
Oh.
I could work with this.
Which also has to make it into my soundboard, I think, because I'm probably going to find some good ways to use that.
And yes, exciting, the situation in the dilithium cave is getting worse. Bits are raining down, and they have to take refuge in the shuttle to keep themselves safe while the Protostar is being flown into the cave.
And, this is an audio medium, so we can't really enjoy just the visual splendor, except that there is an audio component to this. Because while the Galileo is being rocked about, Ensign Garovic's last log starts playing.
Yes.
And holds this beautiful monologue, by a Starfleet officer who knows that he's going to die. He's been exposed to lethal radiation. He's in an environment where there's no help for him.
Hope's a funny thing, isn't it?
And he talks about like how he tried to do his duty. He tried to help these people, as was the Starfleet ideal.
Yes.
And then he was welcomed by them, and he was helped by them.
Healed me, gave me hope when I had none. In the end, they were the ones who saved me.
And that's what we see happening now again.
Yeah.
Dal is much like Ensign Garavik, out of his depth. He thinks he's got all this responsibility that he can't execute. But it turns out the people around you, if you trust one another and you hold faith, they're capable of amazing things. And this crew that has lived in the jungle, cosplaying Starfleet,
manages to get things done because the shuttle falls, and just in time, the intrepid crew is beamed out before the shuttle hits the lake of whatever the fuck it is.
Yep.
Sending up bellows of green gas. Fortunately, the Protostar has got her shields up, so it makes it out safely, overflying the village. Too much. Oh, gasp. And we get another view of the Protostar as it extends its landing gear.
Oh, yeah. And the ramp comes down. I love the Protostar so much because it's got the whole silhouette of a massive Starfleet ship, but at a much more sort of petite scale.
Right, although it feels a lot bigger here than it did in the first episode when they first find it. In the first episode, it kind of feels and looks like a overgrown shuttle.
It sort of is. Like, it's much bigger than a runabout.
Right.
But like
it feels more like, what's the Defiant's not big.
It's still got like, say, a crew for 50 maybe.
That many? Okay.
On the Defiant? Well, you've also got troops, like it's very military oriented.
But so what I'm saying, the first episode of Prodigy, it felt like, an overgrown shuttle, maybe a little bit more. And it's grown a little bit in there.
Well, certainly as we've discovered more parts of it.
Well, that helps, yeah. If the writer's shit, we need another room. I guess we're making it bigger.
So I want to rewind a bit to earlier on in Team Science, where Dal's condition is worsening. And it starts
I think I know what you're talking about.
Right,
yes.
Dr. Boobs first asks Ensign Hura, look,
why didn't you heed Ensign's warnings?
And she says,
I believe in Starflight, and Ensign told us to bravely explore, to help the helpless.
I know. You made Starflight proud.
And meanwhile, Dal, who is itching and scratching and stressing out...
Great. My survival's riding on chasing down a curse, and my doctor's making it up on the fly.
And he's panicking, and it's getting worse and worse. And Zero is also, like, on their last nerves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing my best here, and just freaking out at me and projecting your insecurities onto me isn't helping. And then suddenly everything cools down when Dr. Boobs puts these leeches on his neck.
Louses or something, I think he calls them.
Yeah.
And then he shows a little bit of self-reflection.
Yeah, because Dr. Boobs says...
I know what you must think of us. Our facilities poor, our knowledge woefully incomplete. Ensign told my ancestors of your prime directive, how we weren't ready for your technology or ideas. We know we're not Starflight, but you don't need a real ship to believe in what it stands for.
There you go.
So they learned the lesson well.
Yeah, and that's what Dal needs to learn.
Yeah.
Starfleet is not about, riding around on spaceships. It's exactly what Ensign Hura here was doing, or Cadet. What was it?
Cadet.
Yeah.
Which at this point probably means kid in their language, but...
Oh, wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, I love it. Instantly accepted. And that's what allows Dal to realize, okay, there's an incredible power to the specific combination of values that Starfleet represents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why they're able to do these amazing things. And it's camaraderie and ingenuity and curiosity.
And gunboat diplomacy.
Yeah, okay. Right now, I kind of don't want that to really write in. It's not a lesson that I want a young man like Dal to learn. Fire everything! The heroes of the Enterprise descend the loading ramp and are greeted by their fellow Enterpriseans like they actually flew a ship.
They do the poses and everything. They stand there.
And Dal, does a bit of cultural imprinting because he gives them the Vulcan salute.
But he does it, yeah. Well, he starts doing it the way they do it, with the two center fingers.
Oh, you're right.
Connects, and then he corrects it to the way it's supposed to be done.
Oh, you're right. Okay, I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
And we see Cadet Hura doing the same thing. Oh, so that's how he did. Okay, we'll do it that way. Okay, so Dal says...
Janeway says the rules about second contact are a bit fuzzy. So it's up to them on how they want to evolve.
They're kind of more like guidelines.
Yeah, something that comes back up in Lower Decks.
Oh.
Because they specialize in second contact.
Right, yes.
Which is where,
get sent after, like, the Enterprise. I mean, it's like literally lampshaded in the episode we recently did, where Boimler says, like, well, normally they would send the Enterprise for a mission like this, but, it's...
Yeah, in this case, it's Cerritos.
They seal up the cave.
Yes,
So there's more phases here, because, like, you see that there's, like, at least 4 of the Enterprisians are holding phasers. And
you're right.
I guess there were spares on board the shuttle.
Yeah, must have been,
one of the 17 weapon caches.
Well, probably you just have a little stash, right?
Yeah. It's an emergency, in the emergency supply case,
Yeah,
along with the emergency rations and stuff like that.
3 extra communicators.
Exactly.
And, candy bars and the suicide suppositories or whatever they're called for when it gets real bad.
Wow. And there's another play. There's some new stage props with Janken's claw and the shuttle and everything, and everybody's like...
His mitt, that's what he calls his prosthetic.
Right, yes.
Oh, yes, also Mr. Good bit where, Janken decides, okay, I've had enough complaining, I'm going to fix this shuttle because...
Yeah. And honestly, if we come across one more thing Pog can't fix, then Pog can't call himself an engineer.
And he uses his mitt as an anchor for the shuttle. And
where
Rock
are your
goes,
tools? Yeah, it's like, they're up here.
Right here, and he points at his head. And okay, that's not exactly that doesn't help you. You need a.
He still has one hand left.
Yeah, but you need a Starfleet head screwdriver in order to open those damn things.
Sure. Well, I guess like many of those things have already been opened by Ensign when he was...
Oh, yeah, true.
It's like he already stripped the shuttle fairly effectively. So, they return. The ship leaves, departs, bye-bye, swai.
Yep. And they learn the lesson.
If we can't take the ship to Starfleet, we'll find another way.
We'll have to take Starfleet to the ship. No, wait, that's not
without
how it goes.
the Protostar.
Yeah.
It's not taking the mountain to Mohammed.
Rock goes looking for more. Speaking of mountains.
Oh, yes. Hey.
What?
But
she's rocky,
Okay, she just sort of looks like she's made of rock. I don't know what rock actually feels like.
She's called rock.
Oh,
looks like rock.
Culturally insensitive, isn't it? Oh, I wonder what your hair feels like.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I mean, she seems fairly impermeable. Well,
yeah,
impervious,
it seems like she's got a tough hide, her species.
Yeah. She goes looking for Murph. He's not in his basket. He's not under the bed, but there's a slime trail leading away. And gasp, like,
oh no.
He has gone into Chrysalis.
Chrysalis is
Chrysalis.
the pronunciation. Right. Which, very briefly reminds me, you've seen Babylon 5?
Yeah, I know which scene you're referring to, yes.
Okay, because there's a bit at the end of the first season where the character Delenn goes into Chrysalis as well, which London Malari at one point complains about. This was a really bad time for one of the senior ambassadors to turn into a butterfly.
Yes.
Now, originally, this arc was planned to have Delenn as a male-presenting character.
Right.
Still played by a female actor, but her voice would have then been digitally lowered.
Okay. Yeah.
And in the original pilot episode, you can also see that Delenn's makeup is way more angular.
Right.
Like a prosthetic jaw. I mean, she's an alien anyway.
Sure, yeah.
But much more male presenting. And it's just in post, the voice lowering just didn't really work. It was quite distracting.
Janky, yeah.
Yeah, and it was decided to sort of abandon that. But otherwise, we could have had this plot where a male-presenting character would have transitioned to female in the second season and become a romantic lead as well.
Right, yes.
Sorry, quick digression, because we've actually sort of completed the episode.
Yes, we have. So,
man, I love Prodigy.
It is. It's a fantastic show.
So, what did you think was
so fucking cool?
Definitely the dilithium cave.
Oh, sort of like the Cave of Wonder.
Yeah,
in Aladdin,
exactly.
with the 2 eyes and
everything, all the shiny dilithium crystals hanging from the ceiling, and yes, I thought that looked fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it really was beautiful. I mean, that's the thing that Prodigy gets to do with its animation style that's not photorealistic, but certainly not as stylized as Lower Decks. Just these incredible visuals.
Yeah, they go nuts with the lighting, especially.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Something that the recent modern live action Star Treks can do as well, thanks to the AR wall technology.
Oh yes,
where it can also light the subjects. Oh, that's a great choice. Yeah, the cave is gorgeous. I think mine's going to be the thematic harmony in the story. Right, the fact that everything that happens is the same thing. We've got these plots spanning centuries and different planets.
And it's all mirrored back into itself, and the more things change, the more things stay the same, and the people keep having to learn the same lessons, I guess.
Yeah,
about what Star Trek, what Starfleet is about, I should say.
Yeah, and we learn it from each other, and that you can solve the most complex existential problems can be solved if you have curiosity and openness and community, so people can explain it to you.
Yeah, very good. Like that. A good choice.
Now, as for the
Captain's Log Supplemental.
Well, it's more of an outtake, I think, than a deleted scene, which I have for this one. It's when Rock is, for the first time, she is talking to Marv. And she's got this thing going in her hand, which is supposedly some medical tricorder, I guess. And she's investigating it. And in my head canon, there's an outtake where she's kind of pointing at that thing, and is instead of saying, "Come on, Murph, I know you're feeling bad," she's like, "Come on, Murph, do something funny. I need some followers on TikTok."
Murph, do something charming.
Yeah.
Do something charming and unexpected.
Do something funny. You're not pulling the likes like you used to.
Oh no! Murph is her TikTok. She's a TikTok parasite of a living being. Oh God, that's awful. Oh, I love Rock, and you're sort of undermining that by making her into a TikTok parasite.
It's an outtake, you know.
That's true.
But actors occasionally they can do funny shit.
That's true. Oh yes, because you've got outtakes now. Since a few years, we also have Star Trek intakes, which is a brilliant new form of comedy, where outtakes are edited back into the scenes that they're from, and it just proceeds as if that's what actually happened, and nobody sort of wonders about that. Well, my
Captain's Log Supplemental.
Yep, is going to be about
Jeez, okay, Kaki, that kind of freaked you out a little bit there. I just was not expecting it, and I just heard it, and I was like, what's going on? And freaking out a little bit, editor mode, and no, okay, you're just doing something different. I sometimes just nice to just have a little bit of a warning before I just get, jump scared by Kaki's new nonsense.
I think there's probably going to be a follow-up next generation episode about this planet and how it was influenced by the appearance of the Protostar crew.
Oh, we get another 100 years into the future.
Yeah, where they've remodeled their ship.
Where the Discovery shows up and finds...
Yeah, and finds the Enterprise is now the what would they call Protostar? What can
Protarians?
The Poo-Poo Star, something like that.
Yeah, the Proletarians.
And where everybody sort of greets each other with, "I don't know what I'm doing."
Yes.
I mean, I'm alive.
Yes. The traditional thing you say in the morning when you wake up.
I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, it's one of those weird. Oh, I was raised sort of adjacent to Northern Irish culture because my mother's from there. Yes. She raised me in the Netherlands, and one of the traditions that she grew up with is when you see the first magpie that you see in the day, you greet with "Morning, Mr. Magpie. How's Mrs. Magpie?"
Okay.
Or whatever the gender identity of that magpie happens to be.
Yes.
I know in other parts of Britain it's traditional that the first magpie you see, you sort of salute, and you greet them with "Morning, Captain."
Right. And apparently it's also bad luck to see only one.
Ooh, yeah, that's also a superstition somewhere. Yeah,
just like hawthorn trees.
Oh, yes, steeped in mysticism. There's some places deep in Scotland where it's still considered extremely bad luck when a hawthorn tree falls on your car. Well, that's it for us today. Hey, thank you so much to Hoofburd for this recommendation. Actually, why do I always do the thank you?
I don't know.
You've never seen this episode before, okay?
I haven't. No.
Do you want to like leave us with some?
What about it? Oh,
do you want to thank Hoofburd for recommending it to you? Because otherwise you wouldn't have seen it.
Oh, suppose not. So okay, now you made it weird.
Yeah.
Like
so, Hoofburd, you heard it here. I suppose is Kay's heartfelt.
No, absolutely. Thank you. It was a fantastic episode. I really enjoyed every episode of Protostar.
Prodigy. There we go.
That I've seen so far.
Now let's find out what has been selected for
next time on an all-new episode of Star Trek.
Because, as always, our chief engineer pulls a recommendation from the hat that has been sent to us by one of our beloved listeners like Hoofburd today, or perhaps like you in future episodes. If you go to joyoftrek.com/links, you'll find a handy-dandy little form where you can send us your recommendation. And, Kay, what else could they find at joyoftrek.com/links?
They can find a link to our Patreon page in case you want to drop by and keep the lights on.
Yeah.
A bit of the hosting bills and stuff like that. It'd be very much appreciated.
Yep. And then you get packs of GIFs, which you select.
Oh, yes.
And I know that I can definitely see that there's a few here. Oh, I've recently changed how I'm making the GIFs, and they've got a cool new font.
Oh.
That I'm really excited about.
Nice.
Yeah, just me.
Okay.
Sounds like.
I haven't seen
No,
you
I know.
haven't shown it to me yet, so.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oops.
All right, so what does the chief have queued up for us?
All right, let's find out. The first clue.
We kept it stable for 1/1,000,000th of a nanosecond before it destabilized.
Huh.
I already know what it is.
Okay. Nice.
Okay.
Very well done.
I think friend of the show, Lauren, probably already knows what it is as well.
Sounds like a very specific quote.
What are you planning to do? Stroll through a supernova?
Okay.
Now I'm starting to doubt myself. Who? What if it's hubris, Kay? What if you, for the very first time, heard me like confidently make a statement?
For the duration of this mission, the Prime Directive is rescinded.
Oh, that's
Let's
definitely
get this over with.
That's definitely a quote I've heard before.
Yeah. Okay.
So which series is it?
I mean, I know.
Yeah, they'll tell me. Like,
okay. You want the clue? It's Voyager. It's from Star Trek Voyager.
Okay, right. Yeah. Go on then.
Your Starfleet directive is no longer relevant. I found a way to control Omega.
There you go.
Yeah. So yes,
No.
Voyager. I don't know.
okay.
Probably late
For
series.
3.2 seconds, I saw perfection.
Wow, the chief is doing really good impersonations of the characters here. We're talking about the Omega Directive.
Oh.
It's a really exciting Voyager episode.
Wasn't that Galaxy Quest? That's the Omega device.
Oh, the Omega 13. Yeah,
Yes.
very close, actually.
Yeah.
And
the episode is Voyager 421, the Omega Directive.
Oh, I'm looking
Well
forward to that.
spotted.
Thank you. I'm really proud of myself for that one. And I wish I hadn't sort of hedged there toward the end, but oh well.
That's you always hedge too much. It's like you often second guess yourself.
And that just leaves one more thing to do.
I'm coming, Neelix!
Energize!
Okay, you caught me out on that one.
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki, production and editing by your chief engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next time for Voyager 421, the Omega Directive. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you for listening to Joy of Trek, and we'll see you out there.